But even before the Facebook controversy broke, Facebook had problems, and boy, they were big, especially in this day and age. Millennials left and right not interested in using the social media giant. A third of them have permanently deleted their accounts altogether. This, according to Boston-based market research company Origin. But perhaps no other group is more rushed and frantic than members of the Facebook ecosphere. What does that mean? App developers, the coders out there building on top of the Facebook plan. They're rushing to beat Facebook to the punch, working to allow their own users complete control and privacy of their personal data. So let me show you this. Remember the flashlight on your cell phone, which used to be an app, okay? Where's my flashlight? Used to be an app, this thing. The whiz kid who created the original flashlight app before Apple then integrated it into every phone is joining me. He also has 40-plus other apps to his name and even turned down a job at Apple to focus on creating his own tech startup, scoring a contract with a whole bunch of TV stations, including some Fox TV stations. Millennial serial entrepreneur and Thiel Fellow John Meyer is joining me now. John, you're in San Francisco. This has got to be the biggest story, this Facebook situation. But Sheryl Sandberg on Fox News outlining a whole bunch of new promises that she says will change the perception that Facebook was just willy-nilly selling data. Are you buying it?
Thank you for having me. It's so great to see you again. I think, to your point, in San Francisco, this is certainly the talk of the town. Uber drivers, Lyft drivers on the sidewalk, this is certainly what everyone's talking about. I think Facebook has certainly had a tremendous, what I call, ignorance issue over the last decade plus, where there's been immense flexibility over privacy, and it's now coming to bite them. And, you know, I'm a product guy at heart. I fundamentally believe that no matter what Mark Zuckerberg does in interviews and TV segments, to reinstill trust, it's all going to be about the product side. And I think if Facebook is now finally, as what we're hearing, is embracing product changes to allow more granular control from the user level over what gets shared, what Facebook has on you, what has been shared, that's going to really be the only way to get trust back, especially on the millennial side of things.
You know what I find fascinating? They're announcing all kinds of things like verification process. You have to pass a verification process if you want to advertise politics, and if you don't, you can't advertise politics or issue-oriented pages. And I think about, well, it's too late. That train has left the station for Facebook. What are the app developers like yourself now saying?
Sure. So I think what is especially important amongst the startup community and the software community in my area is there is a rejuvenated focus on conscious-minded approaches to privacy and what data actually gets shared and what doesn't. And to be honest, the consensus amongst a lot of folks in the app and in the startup community is that Facebook has most certainly lagged behind and has embraced this, again, ignorance of sorts, where it's this idea from the top down that, oh, we're still a young company, it's okay when these things happen, we'll work on it. The time has really passed for that kind of mentality. And I think, you know, you now have startups at Seed and Series A stage, you know, making more efforts to instill trust and privacy with their users.
I want you to hear.
And I think Facebook's got a lot of learning to do.
Let's see if you're buying what Sheryl Sandberg, the chief operating officer, is selling at the moment. Here is Sheryl Sandberg just in the last 40 minutes on Fox News.
Starting Monday, we're going to start rolling out all around the world. Right at the top of your newsfeed, a very easy link which shows you all the apps you've connected to and shared your data with, and a very easy way to delete them.
What kind of apps are you already seeing changes in ahead of what appears to be a somewhat better late than never Facebook?
So, first of all, I applaud Sheryl and Mark for getting in this direction. I think the key thing here is this is something that should have been done a decade or more ago. And when Facebook connects with apps like Spotify or your running app, all those apps and the app developers themselves have traditionally gotten access to a very significant amount of data. Now, because it's so easy to connect Facebook with one of these apps and sign into one of these apps with Facebook. Now what Cheryl is saying is that on the top of your newsfeed, you'll have easy access to see what apps are accessing your data and where that's going. So I think that's a step in the right direction for sure.
One last thing. What one thing, because you're in the know and obviously very hip to all of this stuff, what's the one thing you never do online or on a Facebook page?
You know, at this point with Facebook, you have to assume that anyone within the organization, because of these trust issues, can access any of your data. And even though there are protocols to access that, you need to be careful about the personal information you're putting in Facebook, Facebook messages, your profile, etc.
Well, caveat emptor. Hey, it is wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for joining us, John. John Meyer.